Death is a question every human being carries silently in the heart. No matter our culture, language, or belief, one truth unites us all. We will all face it one day. But what truly happens in the first day after death? When the final breath leaves the body, life does not end. What ends is the physical connection. The soul, which carried our thoughts, emotions, and identity, begins a new journey. In that moment, awareness does not disappear, it sharpens. The soul realizes it has crossed a boundary that can never be undone. Many traditions tell us that the soul witnesses its own body, surrounded by loved ones. Voices may still be heard, tears may still be felt, yet the soul can no longer respond. This realization brings peace to some and confusion to others, depending on how deeply they were attached to this world. The first day is believed to be a time of reflection. Life replays, not as memories, but as experiences felt again. Kindness returns as warmth, harm returns as weight. The soul understands that nothing was ever hidden, every intention mattered. Spiritual teachings describe this moment not as punishment, but as truth. The soul stands face to face with its own reality. Titles, wealth, and status fade away. Only character remains. Many believe the soul is not alone. Angels, guides, or spiritual beings appear, not in human form, but as presence. Their role is not fear, but direction. The soul is prepared for the next stage of its journey. During this time, the soul may remain close to loved ones. This is why prayers, silence, and remembrance feel powerful. The living can ease the transition through compassion, not sorrow alone. The first day after death is not about where we go. It is about what we become aware of. It is the moment when truth becomes unavoidable and the heart finally understands what mattered most. That is why we must live consciously, because the soul remembers everything, and the first day after death reflects the life we chose to live. Death is the one reality that no human being can escape. Regardless of nationality, religion, social status, wealth, or power, every person who has ever lived has faced or will face this moment. Kings and commoners, believers and skeptics, the powerful and the forgotten, all arrive at the same destination. This universality is what makes death a powerful connector of humanity, reminding us that beneath our differences, we share the same fragile existence. From the beginning of human history, civilizations have tried to understand death through stories, rituals, and beliefs. Ancient cultures built monuments, modern societies create memorials, and families across the world gather in silence when a life ends. These practices differ in form, but their purpose is the same: to acknowledge that death is not an isolated event. It is a shared human experience. Because death is universal, it carries a deep lesson of equality. In life, people are divided by success, failure, race, language, and belief. In death, all distinctions dissolve, the body returns to the same earth, and the soul begins its journey without titles or possessions. What remains is not what we owned, but who we were. This shared destiny creates an unspoken bond among the living. When we witness death, even of a stranger, something within us responds with recognition. We see our own future reflected in that moment. It humbles us, softens our arrogance, and reminds us that time is limited. Understanding death as a universal truth encourages compassion. When we realize that every person we meet is moving toward the same end, judgment loses its strength. Kindness becomes more meaningful, forgiveness becomes urgent, life becomes precious, not because it lasts forever, but because it does not. Death connects humanity not through fear alone, but through awareness. It invites us to live with purpose, humility, and responsibility, knowing that one day, like everyone before us, we too will cross that same threshold at the moment of death. The most significant change is not the stopping of the heart or the stillness of the body. It is the separation of the soul from the physical form. The body, which once moved, spoke, and acted, becomes motionless. Yet many spiritual teachings, philosophical traditions, and near-death accounts agree on one idea: consciousness does not end when the body does. The soul is believed to be the seat of awareness, identity, and perception. When it detaches from the body, it does not vanish. Instead, it transitions into a different state of existence. The senses that depended on the physical body, touch, sight, sound, are no longer limited by flesh. Awareness becomes internal, expansive, and deeply focused. Many describe this separation as sudden but clear. The soul realizes it is no longer bound by physical weight or pain. The limitations of the body, fatigue, illness, age, fall away instantly. Yet the memories, emotions, and personality remain intact. This continuity is what allows the soul to recognize itself even after leaving the body. In this state, consciousness is often described as sharper than it was in life. Thoughts feel immediate. Understanding comes without language. The soul does not think in the human sense. It knows. This explains why many accounts speak of overwhelming clarity rather than confusion during the early moments after death. The continuation of consciousness challenges the idea that life is purely biological. If awareness survives beyond the body, then death is not extinction but transformation. The soul does not sleep, fade, or dissolve. It simply exists in a different dimension of reality, no longer constrained by time or physical form. This belief also carries deep meaning for how life is lived. If consciousness continues, then actions, intentions, and inner character do not disappear at death. They travel with the soul. The separation of body and soul marks not an ending, but a passage into a state where truth becomes more visible and awareness more complete. One of the most striking beliefs across spiritual traditions is that awareness does not fade at death. Instead, it becomes more intense. While the physical brain shuts down, the soul's perception is believed to awaken into a heightened state of clarity. What felt confusing or hidden during life suddenly becomes clear, direct, and unavoidable. In the physical world, awareness is filtered through the senses, emotions, fears, and distractions of daily life. Pain, desire, stress, and survival often cloud perception. After death, these filters are removed. The soul no longer struggles to interpret reality through a fragile body. As a result, understanding becomes immediate and complete rather than gradual. Many teachings suggest that the soul instantly recognizes its new state. There is no need for explanation or instruction. The awareness is instinctive. The soul knows it has crossed a boundary and understands that the rules of physical life no longer apply. Time may feel different or irrelevant, as awareness is no longer measured in seconds or hours. This heightened awareness also brings emotional truth. Feelings that were suppressed during life, guilt, love, gratitude, regret emerge with full intensity. There is no escape into distraction or denial. The soul experiences truth directly without defense mechanisms. This can be comforting for some and overwhelming for others, depending on how honestly they lived. Many near-death experiences describe this state as more real than waking life. Colors feel brighter, understanding feels deeper, and presence feels complete. There is no sense of confusion, only recognition. Awareness expands beyond the individual self, allowing the soul to perceive connections it never noticed before. This belief reshapes the meaning of death. If awareness increases rather than ends, then death is not darkness, it is revelation. The soul does not lose consciousness. It steps into a state where reality is seen without illusion. and awareness becomes sharper than it ever was in life. Many spiritual teachings and near-death accounts suggest that after separation from the body, the soul becomes an observer of the physical world it has just left. In this state, the soul is no longer confined to the body, yet it remains closely connected to familiar surroundings. It may witness its own lifeless form, the room where death occurred, and the people gathered nearby. This experience is often described with striking clarity. The soul recognizes the body as something it once used, not something it still is. There is a sense of distance, as if looking at a garment that has been permanently removed. Pain, fear, and physical discomfort are absent, replaced by a calm awareness. The soul understands that the body has completed its role. During this time, the soul may notice details it never paid attention to while alive: conversations, emotions, gestures, and unspoken thoughts of loved ones. Some beliefs suggest the soul can hear words spoken around the body, even though it can no longer respond. This creates a powerful sense of presence without participation. The emotional response to this observation varies. For some, there is peace and acceptance. For others, there is confusion or longing, especially when seeing grief or unfinished matters. The soul may attempt to communicate, only to realize that the physical connection is fully severed. This period of observation reinforces a profound realization. Identity is not the body. The soul exists independently, aware and intact, while the body remains behind. The surroundings feel familiar yet distant, marking the transition between physical life and the journey beyond it. Being able to observe without interaction deepens the soul's understanding of separation. It highlights the temporary nature of the physical world and the lasting presence of consciousness. As the soul witnesses the final moments of its life from a new and detached perspective, the emotional experience of the soul in the first moments after death is believed to be deeply connected. How strongly a person was attached to the physical world during life. Material possessions, status, relationships, ambitions, and unfulfilled desires all shape the inner state of the soul once the body is left behind. What was held tightly in life often becomes most visible after death. For those who lived with balance, who valued life without being consumed by it, the transition is often described as calm and gentle. The soul feels light, unburdened, and receptive. There is an acceptance of separation because identity was never fully dependent on possessions or physical roles. Detachment during life becomes ease after death. In contrast, strong attachment can create emotional turbulence. The soul may feel confusion, restlessness, or longing when it realizes it can no longer control, protect, or enjoy the things it once defined itself by. Wealth, power, beauty, and authority lose their meaning instantly, yet the emotional dependence on them may still remain. This conflict creates inner discomfort. Relationships also influence the soul's emotional state. Deep love rooted in compassion brings warmth and peace, while attachment based on fear of loss or control can lead to sorrow and resistance. The soul may struggle with unfinished responsibilities, unresolved conflicts, or words left unsaid, intensifying emotional awareness. This stage reveals an important truth. Emotions do not come from circumstances alone, but from attachment. The soul does not suffer because things are gone, but because it believed it could not exist without them. Detachment is not indifference, it is freedom. The first day after death becomes a mirror. The emotional condition of the soul reflects how one related to the world while alive, whether life was lived with possession or with understanding, with grasping or with acceptance. The first day after death is widely believed to be a time of intense reflection, unlike anything experienced during Physical life, with the distractions of the body removed, the soul turns inward. There is no urgency, no external noise, and no escape from awareness. The mind that once rushed now becomes still, allowing truth to surface naturally. During this period, the soul begins to recognize the full meaning of its life. Moments that once seemed small or insignificant suddenly appear important. A kind word, a harmful action, a missed opportunity, all carry weight. Reflection is not forced, it unfolds automatically as understanding deepens. This inner realization is often described as honest and complete. The soul does not judge itself through excuses or justifications. It sees actions exactly as they were, along with the intentions behind them. Even forgotten memories return with clarity, not as images, but as experiences felt again. Reflection during this stage is deeply personal. There is no comparison with others. The soul is not concerned with societal standards or expectations. Instead, it measures life against its own potential, what was understood, what was ignored, and what was chosen. This awareness can be comforting or heavy, depending on how aligned one's actions were with inner values. For some, reflection brings peace and fulfillment. For others, it brings realization of wasted time or neglected truths. Yet this process is not described as punishment, but as awakening. First day serves as a pause between worlds, a moment where the soul fully comprehends the life it lived, not through memory alone, but through complete understanding of its meaning and impact during the first day after death. Many spiritual traditions teach that the soul undergoes a profound review of its life. This review is not limited to visible actions or outward achievements. Instead, it reaches deeper, examining the intentions that shaped every choice. What mattered was not only what was done, but why it was done. In physical life, actions can be misunderstood, justified, or hidden behind circumstances. Intentions, however, cannot be disguised from the soul itself. After death, there is no separation between what was felt and what was expressed. The soul becomes fully aware of the motivations that guided its behavior: love, fear, ego, compassion, or selfishness. An act of kindness performed for recognition carries a different weight than the same act done in sincerity. Similarly, a mistake made from ignorance is understood differently than harm caused with awareness. The soul recognizes these distinctions clearly, without confusion or self-deception. This review is often described as experiential rather than analytical. The soul does not simply remember events, it relives them from multiple perspectives. It feels the emotional impact of its intentions on others, both the comfort it gave and the pain it caused. This deepens understanding beyond intellectual awareness. Intentions also reveal patterns. The soul sees recurring choices, repeated fears, and consistent values that shape the direction of life. This brings clarity about personal growth and missed lessons. There is no external judge in this process. The soul itself becomes the witness. By focusing on intention rather than outcome, this stage emphasizes inner truth over outward success. It highlights that the moral and spiritual weight of a life is carried not by appearance, but by the unseen motives that lived within the heart in the first day after death. One of the clearest realizations for the soul is the complete loss of value attached to earthly status, wealth, and titles. The labels that once defined identity, profession, rank, reputation, social position, no longer exist in the state beyond the body. The soul does not carry certificates, bank accounts, or recognition into this new reality. During life, status often creates a sense of importance or security. Wealth can provide comfort, influence, and control. Titles can shape how others respond and how one sees oneself. After death, these external measures vanish instantly. The soul recognizes that none of these elements were ever truly part of its essence. This realization can be deeply humbling. The soul understands that admiration received, power exercised, or authority held were temporary roles, not lasting truths. Applause fades, criticism fades. What remains is the inner character that existed beneath the roles played in life. Many traditions describe this moment as one of equality. The soul stands no higher or lower than another based on worldly success. A life spent in quiet integrity may carry more inner weight than one filled with public recognition. The absence of comparison brings clarity about what truly mattered. This stage exposes how much energy was invested in appearances. The soul becomes aware of time spent chasing validation instead of meaning, recognition instead of connection. There is no regret imposed from outside, only understanding born from truth. With the collapse of worldly measures, the soul is left face to face with itself, free from illusion. Identity is no longer built on what was owned or achieved, but on the values lived and the awareness cultivated during life. Many spiritual traditions, religious teachings, and near-death experiences describe the presence of spiritual beings, guides, or angels in the first day after death. These entities are not physical in form, yet their presence is often described as vivid, comforting, and profound. They serve as guides, guardians, and witnesses to the soul's transition from the physical world to the next stage of existence. These beings are believed to assist the soul in navigating the unfamiliar territory it has entered. The journey after death is not chaotic, it is structured, and the soul is often accompanied by forces that help clarify its path. Some traditions describe angels who gently greet the soul, while others speak of mentors, ancestors, or enlightened beings who provide guidance and reassurance. Their presence is a reminder that the soul is not alone, even when it has left the physical body. The role of these guiding forces is often described as supportive rather than judgmental. They help the soul adjust to its new state, offering clarity and helping to reduce fear, confusion, or distress. For many, their presence brings an immediate sense of calm. The soul feels a connection to a higher order, as if it is being welcomed home after a long journey. The appearance of spiritual beings may also serve as a bridge between what was familiar in life and what lies ahead. Some traditions suggest that these entities communicate through feelings, visions, or subtle impressions rather than words. The soul senses guidance, love, and protection, even if the forms or messages are abstract. In addition to comfort, these beings often help the soul reflect on its past life and prepare for what comes next. They illuminate the lessons learned, the unresolved issues, and the intentions behind actions. Their presence can highlight the importance of inner truth over worldly accomplishments, emphasizing spiritual growth over material attachment. Ultimately, these guiding forces reinforce the idea that death is not a solitary event. The soul is part of a larger spiritual ecosystem, where unseen forces facilitate understanding, healing, and preparation. The first day becomes not just a period of separation, but also a period of guidance, support, and alignment with the spiritual reality that exists beyond the physical world. In many spiritual traditions and near-death accounts, it is believed that after death, the soul often lingers near familiar places, especially around loved ones. This period is sometimes described as a temporary attachment, where the soul has not yet fully moved on to the next stage of its journey. The emotional bonds formed during life can influence this closeness, as deep connections create a magnetic pull that naturally draws the soul toward those it cared for most. During this time, the soul may observe family and friends, feeling a mix of love, longing, and sometimes sorrow. It can sense grief, concern, and hope radiating from those left behind, even though it can no longer physically interact. This awareness is not meant to prolong suffering, but to allow the soul to transition gently while acknowledging the enduring connections formed in life. Many traditions suggest that this closeness is particularly strong in the first 24 hours. Rituals, prayers, and expressions of love by the living are believed to strengthen or ease the soul's experience. The soul may be comforted by the presence of loved ones, especially when the environment is peaceful, respectful, and filled with intention. Conversely, chaos, arguments, or fear may make the initial journey more challenging for the soul, highlighting the profound influence of emotional energy even after death. This period also offers the soul a chance to reflect on the relationships it had during life. It may feel gratitude for the love it received, or notice unhealed wounds in connections left unresolved. These realizations can shape the soul's readiness for the next stage, as attachment must gradually shift from the physical and emotional bonds of life to a deeper, spiritual awareness. The soul's temporary proximity to loved ones underscores a universal truth. Relationships do not end abruptly with death. Emotional and spiritual connections continue to exist, often in ways the living cannot perceive. This belief encourages the living to approach grief with both love and mindfulness, creating an environment that supports the soul's peaceful transition while honoring the enduring bond between the departed and those left behind. The first day, therefore, becomes a sacred window of closeness, reflection, and subtle interaction, bridging the gap between life and the spiritual journey that lies ahead. Many spiritual and religious traditions emphasize that the thoughts, prayers, and intentions of the living have a profound effect on the soul during the first day after death. This is a period when the soul is believed to be particularly sensitive, aware, and in transition, making the positive energy directed toward it deeply impactful. Prayers, meditations, blessings, or even silent wishes from loved ones are thought to provide comfort, guidance, and support during this delicate stage. The reasoning behind this is rooted in the interconnectedness of life and consciousness. Even though the soul has separated from the body, it remains connected to the world it left behind through subtle energy and spiritual resonance. When the living focus on love, forgiveness, and positive intentions, they create an environment of peace that the soul can sense. This helps to calm any confusion, fear, or lingering attachments that may arise during the first day. Different cultures have unique ways of expressing this support. In some traditions, prayers and chants are recited continuously to guide the soul safely toward its next stage. Offerings, rituals, or acts of remembrance are performed to honor the departed and provide spiritual strength. In other beliefs, simply holding the person in one's thoughts with love and sincerity is enough to create a positive spiritual influence. The concept also reinforces a moral and emotional responsibility for the living. By engaging in positive remembrance, individuals are not only honoring the deceased, but also contributing to their peaceful passage. Acts of kindness, charity in the name of the departed, or heartfelt prayers are believed to carry a vibrational energy that eases the soul's journey. Furthermore, this practice emphasizes the lasting impact of human connection. Relationships continue beyond physical separation, and the intentions of the living can help the soul reconcile unfinished emotions or attachments. The process of prayer or remembrance is therefore mutually transformative. It nurtures the soul's transition while helping the living process grief, find closure, and deepen their understanding of life and death. The first day after death becomes a spiritually potent period, where the love, intentions, and mindfulness of those left behind can create a path of light for the departing soul. This highlights not only the continuity of connection after life, but also the profound power of compassion, awareness, and intentionality in shaping the soul's earliest moments beyond the physical world. The first day after death is often considered a mirror of the life that was lived. Many spiritual traditions teach that the soul's experience during these initial hours is a direct reflection of how consciously, mindfully, and purposefully one lived. It is not measured by wealth, power, or recognition, but by awareness, intention, and the depth of engagement with life and others. The first day becomes a revealing window, showing the soul the consequences of choices made, lessons learned, and opportunities embraced or ignored. A life lived with mindfulness and sincerity is believed to result in a soul that experiences clarity, peace, and acceptance in the first day. The awareness gained through conscious living acts as a buffer against confusion and fear. When one's actions align with inner values and intentions are pure, the soul transitions more smoothly, recognizing that life was lived with integrity and purpose. Conversely, a life lived unconsciously, marked by distraction, denial, or neglect of moral and spiritual responsibilities, can result in turbulence during the first day. The soul may feel disoriented, restless, or conflicted as it confronts truths that were avoided in life. Unresolved regrets, attachments, or unexamined intentions become more apparent, emphasizing the importance of self-reflection and mindful living while one still has the opportunity. This reflection is not just about mistakes or successes. It is about the awareness with which life was lived. The soul perceives not only what was done, but also how it was done, the quality of attention, presence, and sincerity in everyday moments. Simple acts, decisions made with care, and moments of genuine love or compassion carry far more weight than material achievements. The first day after death also reveals the subtle interconnectedness of one's actions. How a person treated others, the kindness they offered or withheld, and the energy they put into their relationships all contribute to the soul's emotional and spiritual state. In this way, the initial experience after death becomes an immediate and intimate reflection of the life that was consciously or unconsciously lived. Ultimately, this perspective encourages the living to embrace mindfulness, integrity, and purpose in everyday life. Because the first day after death is not just a transition, it is a mirror showing the soul the sum of its awareness, decisions, and intentions. It emphasizes that life's true measure is not found in external accomplishments, but in the depth of conscious living and the lasting impact of one's presence in the world in the end. The first day after death is not simply a moment of separation. It is a mirror, a teacher, and a doorway. It shows the soul the truth of a life lived, the weight of intentions, and the depth of attachments. It reminds us that our time here is precious, that awareness matters more than achievement, and that love, compassion, and integrity leave the deepest imprint. Understanding what happens in those first hours encourages us to live consciously, to cherish relationships, to act with purpose, and to cultivate inner peace. Because when that moment finally comes, the soul carries not the wealth we amassed, but the life we truly lived, the hearts we touched, and the awareness we nurtured. Death, after all, is not an ending. It is a continuation, a passage, and a reflection of the life that came before it. And the first day reminds us that the journey of the soul begins long before the body ceases to breathe.